Nigeria Air suspended shortly after launch. The government announced the launch of a new national carrier,
I keep laughing.
Nigeria Air, in July of 2018, and the aviation minister, Hadi Sirika, had said that the airline would be majorly owned and controlled by private investors. A few months after the launch of the carrier, the aviation minister, who had said that the airline would begin operations in mid-December of 2018, actually announced that the venture has now been suspended.
Okay.
So were we surprised? No, the question should be, is there anybody surprised?
Do you know what? Do you know I was laughing? we were actually on radio.
Yes.
But we're on radio. The day this broke out. We had a big laugh about it. I mean, actually we've talked about this many times. It was a harebrained idea to begin with. You're talking about a country and a government whose finances are under pressure. You're talking about a sector which the same government has essentially overregulated to the point where there are few carriers right
and it's
now.
cost intensive.
Yeah. It is cost intensive. It is overregulated. There are very few carriers that are, in fact, of Nigeria's, I think 4 or 5 major private carriers. 2 are essentially nationalized right now, paying down debts. The remaining 3 are barely doing well. And then the government decides, oh, now is the fantastic time for us to get involved in business, considering
Tunji, do you think it was the right time to actually relaunch or try to launch a national carrier?
Announce a launch.
Not only was it a wrong time, it was the entire thing was actually silly. You know, I mean, on many fronts. First front is you go to the biggest platform in the world,
right?
As it concerns aviation.
Yeah.
It's like going to the Oscars to say you're about to do a new movie. It's the biggest platform.
No,
in
it's
the
like
world.
Aso Rock going to the Oscars to say they're about to do a movie.
So it's like you go to the biggest platform in the world and then say, we've launched this airline, but it's going to be 95% owned by private sector. And you're speaking to the private sector who are here, who are experts. You are a minister, they are experts in this sector. And they're thinking, what sort of venture would the 95% owner be at the back seat where the 5% owner is the one that brings it to the world? Why is it the 5% owner that created the logo? Why is it the 5% owner talking to us? I mean, we shouldn't even know about the 5%.
Because you shouldn't exist, really.
You really shouldn't exist.
You should just be on the paper somewhere.
Just your name somewhere.
Shares goes
at
to
the
this
bottom
person
of the,
as and
at
when.
the bottom of the sheet.
And speaking about the design of the logo and everything else that went into the campaign prior to the launch, there was a backlash from a lot of Nigerians that why get an agency out of the country to do the design when you had
You see,
full
that
talent?
for me was a small issue.
Yeah,
it was a small issue of amongst everything.
Was a small issue that represented a bigger issue? The fact
No.
that
You see, and this for me is usually the problem with us when we look at issues like this. You see, creating this airline, what it did to our name was, so we went there to embarrass ourselves, literally, because the world is laughing. You know, we said, and really, geographically, Nigeria is sort of at the middle of Africa. You know, from here you can get to this part, from here you can get to this. So it kind of looks, if we have a national carrier, to make sense. But then after you've thought about the geography and it's done, then you start looking at the 2+2.
Right.
This is a country that for every 1 naira it makes is paying 60 kobo in debt. So that means 40 kobo is going for its recurrent, its capital expenditure, everything. Then it's going to take out of that 40 kobo to create an airline. So it starts to get interested and you're thinking to yourself, wait, where did they get the money from?
Yeah.
And then later you now realize, because the truth about it is that, as I said it at the point, there was no how it could work. I was waiting for them to make it work. But when they now said they suspended it, I'm like, so why did you ridicule us?
Shall I take us in a slightly different direction with this? You're all going to be upset and I'm the only female here. It was just a typical male ego nonsense.
Totally. I agree.
Total
I
male
agree. I
ego
agree.
nonsense. This was all about
agree.
ego, chest out,
We've done
belly
the airline,
in.
we said we're
You know,
going
we
to
got,
do it.
yes.
Yeah.
Look,
There was no reason
everybody
to.
celebrates the days of Nigerian Airways. Who didn't love Nigeria? Nigerian Airways products, or what you call it, you know, branded stuff is now, they're vintage. They are vintage. We love them, and we want. And there was a time when Nigerian Airways was the pride of Africa, let alone just Nigeria. And sometimes you've just got to learn to live well alone. Look, one thing we know is that our dear president, and you know, I don't care what your people say, I do love the man. He's your typical grandfather. He's stubborn, you know, he's cantankerous, he doesn't really want to say too much, but that doesn't mean he's stupid either. And that doesn't mean he's not a man. That doesn't mean he doesn't have his ego. That doesn't mean he doesn't, and if you look at Buhari, one of the things about Buhari is he's still looking for the good old days, and he wants that old glory to continue. And because he was a big fan of Nigerian Airways, you can tell from the fact that he's paying all the Nigerian Airways pensions right now, you know. So the fact that he was a big fan of Nigerian Airways, he did that. However,
to do that in September.
Yes, however,
this farce had happened.
Yes, I get you. But however,
they had been lobbying for 11 years.
Yeah, but what I would say about the aviation industry, and it's to go in line with what you said, is what we need to do with our aviation industry is to turn Nigeria into the hub, turn it into West Africa hub. We don't need a national airline to do that.
What Air Force?
No. What we need to forget Air Force One. Air Force One.
Okay,
I can't help myself. Judy, you're killing me. I can't help myself.
Aborted launch actually cost $300 million worth of initial funding, and was supposed to get an additional funding to stay afloat come 2020. Are we ever going to see a national carrier for this country?
We don't need one right now is the
Before we
question.
even get there, let's ask for the money back.
Let's invest
That
in
money
a
that we
hub.
spent, why did we spend it? Because you see, this is also the thing in Nigeria where you can take us down the rabbit hole, and then when we now get to the end of the tunnel, you now come back and say, oh, sorry, I didn't know we're not going anywhere. And everybody just says, oh, okay, let's take another turn. What happened to that money? We paid, what do you call it? We paid consultants.
Yes.
We paid consultants. We paid designers.
Yes.
We even had memorabilia. What is going to happen to that money? Who's going to sit on an inquiry and say, where is the money? How do
There
we
needs
get
to
it
be
back?
an inquiry. That's right. There needs to be an
Because
inquiry.
that's even the first issue. Then maybe next time, if somebody is going to come out and say, I put my name to a Nigeria Air, he will know what he's doing, or she will know what she's doing when she does that.
But Henry,
Yeah. Plus, I think there's a larger point at play. I think Nigerians ordinarily, I think we need to get a crash course in aviation economics. If you look at it, you find out that the global model is segueing away from national flag carriers.
Yes.
Where you look at Africa, for example, South African Airways is loaded in debt. Kenya Airways has had to take on a foreign partner.
Yes.
They've had to combine. Kenya Airways has had to combine the operations with Jomo Kenyatta International, which is the main airport in Nairobi. And there are very few flag carriers that work in. British Airways is just a flag carrier in name only.
yes, it's just about staying afloat.
We've got more pressing priorities when it comes to aviation. We need better airports, the infrastructure to work.
And this is what I'm saying is that,
yes,
if we wrap up, then if we look at it as Africa as a whole, if we are still the giant, or if we are to remain or find a way to clutch onto that giant of Africa label, right, and ECOWAS, then we need to take that money and put it back into our airport and turn it into a hub, into the hub. That way, ECOWAS becomes a proper economic power, trading, etc. That's what we need to do. Stop trying to create some phallic symbol.
All right. Thank you very much. We're moving on to the next segment.